Hey guys, what's up? It is Ripe again, back with more Neighbors from Hell. In this subreddit, people share stories about their crazy neighbors. If you enjoy this subreddit, please don't forget to tell me in the comments and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. And the first one is titled, "My neighbor is a grumpy guy who thinks he owns the street in front of his house." I live on a quiet little street in a quiet little neighborhood in a quiet little beach town. I know the neighbors directly near me, but we don't have block parties or any of that weird stuff. We have never had any issues with the guy next door. He is relatively quiet, he goes on vacation a lot, so we get his mail/papers for him. Other than that, we don't ever hear from him. He lives alone and has one car. He has a 2-car driveway. The length of street in front of his property is big enough for 2 large vehicles. Parking on our street is sometimes tight. Several of our neighbors have multiple cars that they park on the street. We ourselves have 4 cars, someone else has a boat parked out there, some other asshat parks his trailer on the street sometimes. The parking situation is bad, okay, but do I complain? No, because this is just life and everyone is just trying to park their car and live. Sometimes I have to park in front of his house, which I never thought was a problem. People park in front of my house all the time. Yesterday was one of the days where I had to park in front of his house. Today was trash pickup day. I schlepped the cans out to the curb on my way out of the house and headed to my car. But well, apparently this grumpy guy decided that he did not like me parking my car in front of his house, and so he took it upon himself to block in my car with his trash cans. One directly in front, one directly behind. I guess I was blocking his view of the dusty old boat and the trailer or something. I was immediately filled with a searingly hot rage. Seriously, I was irrationally pissed. I kinda admire the petty kinship we have, but still, F you man. Now, he was home at the time. I could tell because his car was occupying some of the square footage that is his driveway. I could have knocked over the cans with my car to let him deal with the mess like I wanted to, but I decided to wait. Later on, when I got home from work, you can just imagine my pure petty joy when I saw that he was not home. He had brought his cans back up the driveway and left them next to his garage. My inner petty crocker took over. I took one of the cans and walked it up his porch and put it directly in front of the front door. He will have to move it to get inside. Take that, a-hole. Oh, and I parked in front of his house again. And guys, I'm curious, did you ever have any similar petty revenge situations with your neighbor? Let us know in the comments. And the next one is titled, "Entitled Neighbor Gets in Trouble with Police After Taking Pictures of 7-year-old for Evidence." This happened some years ago, so I may get some details wrong and I will definitely be paraphrasing. Backstory: I lived in a small town in England, about an hour and a half from London, and had lived there since I was born. There's a kind of gravel walking path/trail outside of my house that is lined with ditches. These ditches were fun to play in and play hide and seek whenever a friend came over. I was around 7 or 8 at the time. One of our neighbors lived on our street and had a clear view of the ditch, and they were known to be grumpy old bats, at least the mother/woman. I did not know about the husband or if they had kids. So the cast was OP, me, S for sister, D for dad, EB for entitled Karen. So onto the story. One day, me and my sister, around 12 or 13, went to play in the ditch. We had brought a tent and kind of played pretend camping. We had toy swords/lightsabers, I cannot remember which ones we brought out, and were slashing at the grass/plants, etc., acting like we were cutting away foliage in our way in the depth of the jungle. In comes EB. EB, "Hey, what are you two doing?" S very confused. We're just playing." EB, "What are you doing to the plants? You're destroying them." We really were not doing much to the plant and there was plenty of vegetation, so one plant would not be much, even though we were doing basically nothing to it anyway. Although I will admit it would be better for us to not do that. EB totally overreacted and completely blew up. We decided to ignore her and get on with what we were doing until lo and behold, here she comes again. Her cat had come out and came towards us, so naturally we gave it a little pet. It was no harm at all and the cat was fine with it, so we did not see a problem. EB however did. EB,
"Don't you touch my cat or you're coming in,"
points towards her front door. This is the only part which I can remember her saying fully. This was the point where I got sort of scared. I was wondering what she meant to do if we came in and why it was such a big deal, but nevertheless we sort of ignored her and got back to what we were doing. A while passes and we have not heard from Entitlement for Brains in a while when suddenly my sister notices something. Is she taking pictures of us? I turn around and I see it. This girl is taking pictures of children without permission. At the time I was obviously thinking this was wrong, but if that happened now when I am older, I would have been so pissed. Come on OP, we need to go tell Dad. So we walk back to our house and find D. We tell him the story of how we were playing and how she yelled at us and threatened to take us in and most of all take pictures of minors without permission. Now, I am not well educated in law, but I would like to think it is illegal to take pictures of people without permission in England, even more so for children. Anyway, my dad gets mad, he tells us to go outside and just go play again and to just ignore EB. We do what he says. I now know that after that he gets the police to come, not sure if it was 999 or otherwise, but nevertheless the police are on their way. And what's this? Breaking news? EB is at the window taking pictures again? EB is taking effing more pictures? This time D is at our window keeping an eye on us and he sees this. Cue shouting match. Dad,
"Hey, what on earth do you think you're doing?"
EB's face goes white. EB,
"They're not supposed to be there."
I'm paraphrasing, that's why the dialogue is crap. Dad,
"They have every right to be there and you have no right to take pictures of them."
EB,
But they are breaking the plans."
Dad,
"I will have you know, the police are on their way."
So time passes and I see the police arrive. We go back inside whilst D and the police deal with EB. Eventually my dad comes back inside and tells us it has all been dealt with. After a while EB moves out and I grow up. I remember the story and ask my dad what happened with the police. He says the police made EB delete the pictures and if anything like that happened again, there would be severe consequences. I kinda wish she got those consequences because she definitely deserved them, but I like to think she at least learned her lesson. We never got in trouble for playing in the bushes after all. And guys, I'm curious, did you ever have a similarly creepy neighbor? Let us know in the comments, and if you have watched until here, please don't forget to post some star emojis in the comments and also like the video if you haven't already. Thank you very much for your support, this is very much appreciated and helps me out tremendously. And the next one is titled, "Was annoyed with the neighbor until I benefited from his petty revenge." 7 PM last night and my neighbor decides he's going to get out his backpack leaf blower and work on the leaves in his yard. It is dark, it had been drizzling earlier, what the F is he working on trying to blow wet leaves around? I was starting to get a little annoyed because I was trying to enjoy dinner while watching TV. That was until I heard a knock on my door. It was my neighbor asking me to move my car out of the street into the driveway for a minute and in return he would blow all of the leaves off my front lawn for me. This is when he tells me that his stepson was supposed to hand rake their leaves earlier that day before he left for work. Guess the kid mouthed off again. He makes the kid do yard work when he's in trouble and my neighbor gets home and sees that the leaves are not done. Pissed, he grabs his leaf blower and proceeds to blow all the leaves from the yard into the street in the spot where his stepson parks his car in front of the house. He realizes that he does not have enough leaves, however, the tree in my front yard decided to carpet my front lawn with leaves that day. This is when he knocks on my door. He got rid of the leaves on my front lawn and the leaves on my other neighbor's front lawn and added them to the pile on the street. He then had me move my car back into its original spot, which was on one end of the leaf pile, and parked his work truck on the other end of the leaf pile. Also, his stepson would have to park down the block and do a walk of shame home. And the next one is titled, My ex-friend and neighbor gets what is coming to him. First, a little background. About 6 years ago, I moved into my current house in a great neighborhood. I work from home when I am not traveling, and it is a great spot in a nice part of town and near everything. When I first moved in, one of the ladies on my street came over to introduce herself and was getting quite frisky with me. I was told by other folks that she was this way with everyone and that she was totally harmless. I will admit that this disappointed me because I thought she was pretty hot. Anyway, her husband and I became buddies and we would occasionally golf together, and I became a part of their group of friends. I was invited to many family get-togethers even though I am single and I got along great with all of the wives and kids. She was always hinting and flirting around with me, and to be honest, I loved it. Her husband and I work in similar fields, and the company that I work for acquired his company about 3 years ago. Unbeknownst to me, he got slightly demoted and lost a bit of salary, and for some reason he thinks that I had something to do with it, but I didn't. It was not in my field, and I actually don't even know any of the people that reorganized his unit. He asked me to help him, and unfortunately I couldn't. He decided to take it out on me personally. Golf games started happening without me. Cookouts and local outings went on and I did not get invited. Oh well, if he wants to be that way, there's nothing I can do about it, and then he upped the ante. He tried to get me fired. My boss came to me about some anonymous source that says I was doing some illegal things and potentially making our company liable. I was forced to see a psychologist and pass numerous drug tests to stay out in the field doing sales. Needless to say, I knew who the source was. I confronted him about it and he denied the entire thing with a smirk on his face. So that is when the revenge plan started. Not knowing which way to turn, I decided that I did not want to cause him to lose his job. I could not figure out a way to do it anyway, since we are not in the same division. After a year or so, I completely forgot about it until about 10 days ago. I ran into his wife after she had been at church and she was dressed to kill. She totally flirted me up and was hitting on me brazenly right in the grocery. So I decided to fire back. I told her that if she showed up at my house the next morning around 10 AM in that dress and those heels, that I could not control what happened next. Guess who showed up at 9:30 the next morning? The wife wearing the same dress and heels. When I let her in the house, it was like unleashing a wild animal. She ended up staying for a couple of hours and there was not a way that did not have her. Since then, she has been over twice more, but things will get a little more sporadic since school is out and she has responsibilities now during the day. Try and cost me my job and I will get you back. And the last one is titled, Neighbor threatens to destroy my property. My lawyer is now serving a notice. About a month ago, one of my friends came over to hang out. We were having a good time, but he looked nervous to the point that it was killing me. I had to ask what was bothering him, and that was where my life got turned around. He showed me a Facebook post from my upstairs neighbor. We live in an apartment that stated that she was going to break into my apartment and break the living crap out of all of our electronics because we are too loud. One of the major complaints I have about this apartment complex is that the walls between apartments on the same level are like steel. My neighbors can be throwing a party and I would have no idea. However, the ceiling is paper thin and you can hear conversations verbatim. I've lived in dorm rooms that have the same type of material surrounding the room. Ceiling, floor and walls, I'm used to it. However, my neighbors have way too high expectations of living in an apartment complex. When we first moved in, they constantly commented on hearing our conversations and how they know what TV shows we watched. At first, it was kind of laughable, but the comments turned into complaints. My husband told the male neighbor, his friend, that there's nothing he can do about it at all except move out. This is out of the equation since we are waiting for our house to be built, new construction, and we refuse to break a lease to move to another apartment for a few months only to move into our house. Up until last month, we have not heard too much. The Facebook post was absolutely shocking and I was pissed. If this woman publicly threatened my property, what else would she be capable of doing? I confronted the situation and told her to take down the post. She said some nasty things to me and I told her that my request was simple: you should not go to social media to deal with your issues and you need to direct your concern to the person directly involved. Anyway, my husband's aunt is a lawyer. She provides us help with legal situations if necessary and has been a big help for some of our other relatives. Over Christmas break I was talking to her about the situation and explained how I did not feel safe. This woman has a history of drug abuse and violence that I don't trust. In addition, I am currently 7 weeks pregnant and want to protect myself and the baby. My lawyer then pointed out that because of my profession as a public official, this threat and any future aggression towards me is a Class 3 felony in my state that would result in 2 to 5 years in prison if convicted. I was absolutely shocked that I would qualify under that law-specific protection, and my lawyer suggested that she would write a letter detailing possible legal action if this woman decides to do anything against me. The letter was delivered today. I heard a lot of "holy crap" from upstairs and I'm guessing that she called her husband to complain about me. I am sitting downstairs dealing with my life. After all, I am battling morning sickness 4 to 5 times a day and will be responsible for a life soon. Edit: I also feel horrible that the husband of the upstairs neighbor is one of my husband's friends. I know that you can choose your friends, but you cannot choose their significant others. I think the general hatred towards us was not expected by my husband, and he's heard that someone would allow their SO to do this to their friend. And I gotta say guys, if I would be in the shoes of this pregnant woman, aka the OP, I would also definitely be concerned because the other neighbor seems mentally unstable, and considering that she has a history of drug abuse, I would probably not feel safe in the apartment. What would you have done if you were in OP's shoes? Let us know in the comments. And in addition guys, I know you don't like to hear it, but we have unfortunately reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's content, and if you did, please don't forget to subscribe and to also click the bell icon to not miss any of my future uploads. In addition, if you haven't already, please also check out my Patreon at patreon.com/ripeyoutube for exclusive Reddit content that you will only find there, including Just No Mother-in-Law stories. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.